What's up everybody, how's it going? It's Burke aka Dansgwait here. I wanted to upload this video as a further update to the Cyberpunk 2077 situation on the channel. So I had been away from the game for over 2 months now, waiting for more patches and for the game to stabilize and all that kind of stuff. And since I finished uploading Detroit Become Human, which I really enjoyed, and a lot of people ended up enjoying it too, so thank you to everyone that watched Detroit in place of Cyberpunk over the last couple of months. But the plan was, now that that's finished, it's time to get back to Cyberpunk and hopefully finish recording that and getting back into the uploading in the build up to Near Replicant that's coming out in a couple of months' time. So I fired it up today for the first time in a couple of months. All my the patches and stuff are up to date. I think it's 1.12 right now, the latest patch. But unfortunately, I'm still suffering from the same problems. The game still crashes. It's nowhere near as frequent as it was before. But for me, that's still I think I had 2 or 3 crashes in the space of an hour. And honestly, it's just not, it's too risky for me to play like that, because if you're not LPing the game, yes, there's auto saves, you can kind of just fire it up, get back into it and that kind of thing, but it really disrupts your recording of the game. And of course, every time you have a game crashing on you while you're recording, you run the risk of something going wrong with the recording itself. It can be corrupted, you can have issues with it, and it's just not how I want to play the game, and it's a really inefficient way and less enjoyable way to play the game too. So for now, unfortunately, people waiting for Cyberpunk to return onto the channel, it won't be. In terms of when it will, I'll probably periodically, when I've got windows of time, probably try and see if the latest patches have stabilized it. I feel like worst case, maybe I'll have to wait until the true next gen patch comes out. And if I have a PS5, maybe later in the year or something, and the next gen patch is working really nicely on the PS5, then I'll probably just get back to that sort of version and just not play it on PC. I don't exactly know what the problem is. It's looking, now that there's this many patches and it's still crashing on my system, I'm inclined to think that it's more to do with whatever components I have or whatever software I have or something like that. But again, I don't know. I mean, all of the other PC games that I have, they work fine. I haven't encountered a game for which I have this much crashing, and I've tried some of the fixes that I've seen online, and none of them seem to work. So given how terrible it was at launch and how many crashing issues it has across the board, I feel like even with these patches, there's just certain systems that for whatever reason it just doesn't play well with. So I'm not going to say that the game's still broken in general, but for my particular system, it's not working well enough for me to continue, unfortunately. So that's the bad news. I won't be able to continue with Cyberpunk for now. Sorry to people that have seen the early episodes and looking forward to it. I hate leaving playlists incomplete. It's just something that I try to never do. But sometimes, unfortunately, there's not too much you can do. I literally cannot play the game without it crashing all the time. So there's just no point of putting myself through that just to get the game out. The hype has died down for it a lot. And honestly, I do know of some people that have completed the game and that have said it's good, but I think of the people that did complete it, because I'm sure there's still plenty of them that have, there hasn't been too much sort of shouting about how great the game is. So if it was the case that if you can complete the game, it's absolutely incredible, it's one of the best games ever made, or okay, maybe not even that much, but it's an incredible game that you have to play, it's so great, then I'd be more sort of excited about it. But now that 2 months has passed, there really is not much talk going on about the game at all. The game's not exactly old at this stage, and given the fact that these patches and stuff would have helped more and more people to be able to play the game, it worries me a little bit that there isn't too much talk about how good the game is from the people that can complete it. So I haven't looked deeply into it, and I haven't spoiled myself on the details of the game itself, but honestly, based on what my feeling is at the moment and the feedback that I have come across for it, it feels like it's probably some sort of 7 to 8 out of 10 kind of game, maybe 8.5 to 9 if you really love it. But likely the average is probably, even among people that completed it, it feels like it's probably about an 8 out of 10 sort of game. And so that's good. I mean, I'm sure if you can complete it and you're not having crashes and really bad bugs and glitches and stuff, you'll probably enjoy the game. But for someone that's already having problems with trying to play it and the hype's really died down for it, and there's almost limitless other games that I could be playing, it's just not enticing enough for me to say whatever the problems are, I'm going to work through it and make sure I play it and all this kind of stuff. So unfortunately for now, that's the deal with Cyberpunk. Not continuing that for now. As for when I will, it's sort of on hold indefinitely for now, unfortunately. But I will of course keep you guys informed and let you know if I am able to start playing it regularly again. It's not a super long game from what I know, so you can get through the story campaign like 20 to 25 hours if you're not doing a ton of side quests. So worst case, if it's stable enough someday, I'll probably look to at least get the main campaign done, and so that's not going to be a huge undertaking. So it's definitely something that I will try to complete on the channel, and hopefully in the much longer term, Cyberpunk will definitely be there as a complete playlist. But for now, I am not continuing. So that's the bad news. In terms of other news, what I will be doing is playing a game that I've wanted to play for quite some time on the channel. I know there's a whole bunch of games that people want me to play, and I will hopefully get to some of those eventually this year. That's the plan, because there's not too many sort of exclusive PS5 brand new releases that I'm really looking forward to this year. So that's probably going to leave me more time to play again older games that I want to get to and that a lot of people have been asking me to try out. So again, for the longer term, hopefully this year, if there's not, let's say somehow God of War gets announced for like late 2021, or Horizon Zero Dawn, or Final Fantasy 16, I mean that level of release is, I'm pretty certain, is not happening this year. So that doesn't leave too many more sort of big releases that I need to be there for on release day. So that's a good thing, I think, because it gives me a chance to get through a bit more of my backlog. The first one I will play for that is Bioshock 2. And if upon hearing that you're like, Bioshock, I'm not interested in that, well, you know, there's not too much I could do about that. But I have Bioshock 1 and 3 on the channel, and Bioshock is one of my favourite franchises. I love it. And so Bioshock 2 was this gaping hole in my Bioshock playlist that had been there for years now, and I'd wanted to get to it for a very long time. Again, thankfully, it's not a super long game. It's probably like 10 to 15 hours, maybe closer to 15, like upon completion. And apparently the DLC related to Bioshock 2 is excellent. I've heard a lot of great reports about that too. So Bioshock 2 is the game that I'm going to be playing over the next few weeks and uploading to the channel as like the non-Final Fantasy walkthrough. Once that's complete, I'll see how much time I got left before Nier Replicant, and if I have enough time, I'll probably crank out another game that's of sort of 10 to 15 to maximum 20 hours sort of range. So that'll be another one I'll record. Not sure what that is now. I'll have a look at my backlog and figure out which one I want to play. And then in late April, unless there's some kind of delay, we have Nier Replicant remake coming out. That's something I'm very interested in because I loved Nier Automata, and so Replicant is something I'm definitely going to be playing. And then, like I say, looking beyond that, I really don't know what's coming out that I'm particularly interested in. So heading into the summer, I don't think there's anything like that major coming. So again, that will leave me time to hopefully get to more of my backlog. And the plan is eventually, depending on how I decide to do it, there's 3 major games that I get asked to play all the time. And these 3 games are, well, the main thing they have in common is that if I do undertake them, they are going to be a super long series for me, most likely. Over 100 parts, almost guaranteed. So yeah, those are games that I've been reluctant to get into just because of how long they are. But I know that they're really like legendary, well-loved games that at least each of them have a significant portion of my audience that is going to be interested, and I'm sure there's plenty of crossover too between the 3. So these 3 games are Persona 5, or Persona 5 Royal, Breath of the Wild, and Witcher 3. So it is likely that because all 3 of those games, for me to play all 3 of those, that's like 500 LP parts, that's like 3 years worth of content. So I'm going to focus on one of them, of course, and it will probably be a vote to see which of the 3 you guys would like me to play. And whichever one wins, again, barring the fact that there's going to be some big major releases coming back to back or something, which is unlikely, probably like for the second half of the year, I'm looking to get into one of those 3 games. It's like a longer series that's going to be ongoing on the channel, and you guys will get to vote for which of the 3 that I play and which one you'd like to watch. So lots of cool stuff still to come, but I did want to give people an update about Cyberpunk because it had been a while, and this was the week that I was supposed to get back to it, and it just didn't happen. So I'm going to focus on Bioshock 2 for now, see how much time I got left, maybe play something else as well before Nier Replicant. Then we've got Nier Replicant, and then after that, potentially we might have the sort of epic showdown between Persona 5 Royal, Witcher 3, and Breath of the Wild to see which one you guys want on the channel. Quick note about Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 6 has a little more to come still. That Dragon's Den was absolutely huge. It was much deeper and difficult to get through in terms of its navigation and all that kind of stuff than I expected. So there's a few more things still to come for Final Fantasy 6. But once that's over, I'll probably give it another few weeks, again, see what the situation is with Replicant. I don't want to get into this massive jam of trying to upload Replicant and start Final Fantasy V at exactly the same time and all that kind of thing. So I'll map out my time just so that we don't have a massive crunch on the channel. I don't need to crunch myself too hard on Final Fantasy V. I can upload that when I'm ready for it, but that will be what's coming next. So that's the deal, my friends. Final Fantasy V and all of the other stuff that I've listed will be coming to the channel across the coming months. But for now, my main focus will be Bioshock II, continuing to upload Final Fantasy VI to the end, probably another 5 to 7 episodes maybe maximum, I would say. Maybe 1 or 2 more, maybe 1 or 2 less, not entirely sure. But once that's complete as well, Pbirdman mod continues, and then we get to Final Fantasy V and Near Replicant. So that's what's coming, guys. Thank you all for watching and all the continued support. Really appreciate it. The content will roll on. I've got more podcasts to come, I've got more Ultimania secrets to come, and I've got more like miscellaneous stuff that I'm working on too. So I'm sure there's going to be plenty of stuff for you to enjoy over the coming months. See you soon. Take care.